Hello and welcome to the Now Educated podcast. Thank you for taking the time to come and join us and have this conversation. Now, if you're in Harare in this particular month, I really want to encourage you to start investing in yourself. There's this amazing series going on being run by Cross Culture out at Celebration Church in Borough called Becoming. One of the things we believe out here at the Now Educated podcast is when you know better, you do better. And I really want to encourage you to invest in yourself and get to know better about how you can become the person you are supposed to be and find success in everything you do. So make some time. So let's get back to what we were talking about. So in the last podcast, we started a conversation on inflation and sort of understood how the British Empire navigated its way around inflation. Today, I just want to recap or maybe continue on that conversation and put it plainly. Inflation is what happens when a country's leaders start stealing from its people. And how do they steal from us? They steal from us by taking our hard-earned money, the hours you spend producing and serving people and earning certificates of deposits. Then they reduce the value of those certificates of deposit, which means if I needed $1 to buy a loaf of bread, which would represent $1 worth of effort in serving someone else so that I can then buy this bread. Inflation is where that same loaf of bread goes to $1.30. And now I have to spend more money to buy the very same thing. And in the process, I become poorer and poorer because my money buys less and less. And how do they do this? They do this by printing money or spending more money than what is produced in an economy. You see, whenever we start spending more, creating more coins and notes than the value being added or than the creativity being exhibited in the market, we have a problem. And that's how the British Empire managed to navigate inflation. They disciplined themselves not to print more than what was needed or than what represented productivity in an economy. This is something that countries like Venezuela, Argentina, America, and of course Zimbabwe often fail to do. This is how the leaders steal from their people. So what do? We can either be victims and complain about how bad our guys at the top make decisions, especially around money, or we can figure some stuff out. We can look at things and say, okay, how do I win even in a country where our leaders steal from us? How do I win in spaces where inflation is like a thing? And that's where we want to take today's conversation. How do you win in this kind of environment? Now, one thing you've got to know, that in times of inflation, it is always better to be an owner than a lender. So let's talk about lending. Because when you lend someone money, right, that can be lending someone money in your personal capacity, or this can be lending money to your bank through your savings account, or through money market accounts, or through investing in bonds. That's you lending. You have a fixed return on your investment. If I was going to give you 10% on your money, it is 10% on your money. It doesn't matter where inflation goes. So when inflation goes to 200, 300, 400, 500%, which is custom here, you're only going to get the 10% that was promised to you. So what does that mean? Is that your money begins to lose value because the growth of it is not sufficient to beat the loss of purchasing power. So the worth of your money diminishes. This is where you lose out as a lender. So in times of inflation, you want to be mindful not to be lending money for a fixed return. But what happens when you turn and become an owner? That gets interesting. So what should we be owning? Or what must be owned by someone who wants to beat inflation? Or what should you be considering to start adding to your portfolio? That is the question, right? Now, very often in times of inflation, a lot of people run to this particular metal, and that's gold. You see, gold is money, and gold has been around for thousands of years, over 3,000 years. Gold has been used as currency and as a store of value. And time and time again, it has withstood the test of time and proved itself really a store of value. You can take it to the bank. So if you want to catch up, if you want to get a bit more on gold as money, have a look at some of the podcasts we did. We did one specifically on gold. But let's move on. So gold is real money. So gold is sound money, right? That means it will, for the most part, always maintain the purchasing power of your money, right? If you could buy a suit 10 years ago with an ounce of gold, you're probably going to be able to still buy a suit with the same ounce of gold. So it maintains purchasing power. It is money, right? And for many people, they, in such environments, just want to hold on to that purchasing power. But if you think about it, because gold is money, it also makes it a terrible investment, because no one invests just to maintain their current status quo. No one invests just to maintain their current status quo. When we invest, we're looking to grow our money. We're looking to increase the purchasing power of our money. So in terms of inflation, if you're at an age where you just want to maintain the amount of money you've got, one of the things you must be looking at is, how do I invest in gold? And remember, not all gold products are created equally. You see, there's certain gold products that when that gold is being sold to who knows who, they discount the price. So you could actually be losing purchasing power in certain gold investments. So you want to be really mindful that the kind of product you are investing in, because in our country, countries like ours, you may not be allowed to hold physical gold. Or if you're allowed to hold coins, the costs on holding those coins and the discounts that you have to take in when you're selling back those coins can actually make you lose value, but maybe not as hectic as inflation. So in countries like Zimbabwe, you may not maintain your purchasing power, but you may not lose it as much as if you had just held the money in cash. So think about that thing. Now for me, when I look at what to invest in times of inflation, the key thing for me is whenever I'm investing, I want to invest so that my investments can earn me money, and most importantly, grow in purchasing power. That means not only beat inflation or match inflation, but beat inflation significantly, so that progressively over time, I'm able to buy more, do more with my money, and create more value from the investments that I'm making. So what kind of investments are able to do that for us? The first one, and I like it because it's for me, I consider it low-hanging fruit, and that is getting into the stock market. Getting into the stock market. And why do I like this one? One, you don't need a lot of money to get in there, and the requirements are fairly standard. Almost any Zimbabwean or any person can get an investment account open because it's free, and you're only charged as you transact. So in terms of cost, reasonable. In terms of entry, also reasonable. And you can do that almost immediately. After watching this podcast, you can get in touch with one of your brokers or go onto any of the online platforms, ZSE Direct or one of these. Secondly, why I love the stock market is because the stock market has proven that over time, it delivers a positive return. Now, the stock market over a 10-year period is positive 98% of the time. Over a 20-year period, it is always positive. So that means if you are willing to wait at least 10 years, you're going to make money. Your money is going to grow, and it's going to grow faster than inflation. And interestingly, the stock market has proved that it has made more millionaires than any other investment class currently in existence on earth. A second asset that I want you to think about is real estate, physical property. And why do I think physical property is good? Because physical property earns you income in the form of rentals. And that rental can be adjusted to currency, can be adjusted to purchasing power almost at a reasonable speed. You may not be instant, but what you do know is if you're in Zimbabwe, what rent that you used to pay in RTGS dollars is more likely to now be in US dollars as landowners or property owners begin to adjust their pricing so that they maintain their ability to pay the rental rates and earn a required income. So you want to be looking at the stock market, you want to be looking at real estate, and it's amazing how those two asset classes can begin to transform your existence. Because when you become an owner of companies, you see, companies have two outcomes. Either they do well, and if they consistently don't do well, they shut down. And very often when they shut down, they're often bought by another company that sees the potential in them. And when you invest in public companies, that's companies that are listed, very often the top tier, you find the blue chip companies, they tend to do well over a long period of time. But we'll do an episode on index investing and how you can invest in a way that you are more likely to invest in the best companies that have the best odds of staying in the game for 10 years, which means over 10 years, which means deliver a positive return for you and your money at a 90% rate, or almost an entirely 100% rate. But remember, patience is key. And the second thing is real estate. Like we've said, you have to be an owner. It may cost a bit of money to own a house outright, but there are also investments like real estate investment trusts that allow you to put aside small bits of money and get access to rental income per unit that you own. You see, in terms of inflation, it's better to be an owner. Because what inflation does, when our leaders steal money from us, what tends to happen as a consequence is money begins to flow from those who work to earn money to those who own assets. You see, whenever you are buying bread, that means the owner of the shop that sells the bread is getting richer and richer, earning more and more dollars because the money is coming to them. So you want to be in a place where you become an owner so that when more money is required to buy some of these things, you can participate. You lose some, you win some. But the net effect is likely that you're going to be better off, or at least be able to withstand the difficult season that we're in. My name is Terrence, and I hope this has been helpful. And as you know, when you know better, in our culture, we try and make sure that more people know better, so that collectively we all can do better. And things will eventually get better for all of us. Until next time. Thank you so much for watching this and all the clips that we've been putting out there. We love the comments, we love the reactions, and we want to encourage you to do even more. Kindly go out, share this with your friends, share this with someone at work, share it with anyone you know will benefit from this. And most importantly, tell us what you want us to share with you in terms of stuff you want us to talk about or questions you'd like us to answer for you. Remember, the aim of this podcast is to help as many of us build better relationships with money. And we can only do that if we get this to as many people as possible. If you're as honest and as transparent as you can be, so that we answer the stuff that will move your world and help our world to become a better place. Remember, our community is all about getting to know better. And when you know better, we do better. But we want to go an extra step. We want to know better, help others know better. Because collectively, when we know better, we tend to do better. And like we always close, the world will get better. So thank you so much for watching this. And we hope that we can get more and more people to watch this and we can build a community that ends up winners when it comes to this area of finances.